Good day, everyone. It's another wonderful day in the world of online business, and today we're actually going to be jumping into another Squarespace tutorial talking about how to resize different blocks, different images, making your site look just right, because sometimes it can really be finicky, and if you don't necessarily understand how it works, it can actually look pretty janky in the end, and you certainly don't want that. You want to come off as professional and really clean cut, so that's what we're going to be working on today. And if you're new here, my name is Matthew, and I'm bringing you business tips and tricks to help propel your business forward in the digital space. If you have any questions, comments, I'd be happy to answer them, and would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe down there in the bottom right and ringing that bell. Without further ado, let's just jump into it. So when we're inside of Squarespace, you want to click on Pages and navigate to the area that you want to work on. And I'm going to be going over a couple of different blocks, but they generally function the same. So we're going to go ahead and hit Edit. And the first one that we're going to tackle together is text blocks, and then we'll move on to image blocks. So I already have some text here, and I'm just going to kind of use that as the example. Now, what I discovered when I first started working with Squarespace is you can have a text block. So let's say that this one's our text block, and we create another text block, and I can put test block, whatever it is. Sometimes, even though they are two separate blocks, they will appear merged as one. Now, it's not doing it right here, thankfully, but that does happen. So the best case scenario that I have found that helps you to rid yourself of that problem is when you're getting ready to create another block and you're wanting to move it around after the fact, so maybe make it align like this, right to left or left to right. You want to put a line divider. Now, you can definitely get rid of this after the fact. You just want it there so that there is a clear division between your first block and your second block. Secondly, so how do you actually go about rearranging your blocks? When you hover over the main area, you'll see this little hand icon. You can grab it and start dragging it. And now you see that these different lines appear depending on where you're taking your block. So let's say that I want to arrange this block on specifically the right side of this test block. Now, if you're a little bit too high, it's going to want to align itself to the line block as well as the text block. If you go right here, that function means it's actually going to stack on top of it. So it can actually be a little confusing when you're trying to get that perfect alignment, and a little finicky because there's a lot of different things that you can resize a block to, but this is how we're going to position it right there next to each other. If we want to make one bigger or smaller, we can do that, and because I have these other text blocks here, it's making the formatting of this particular one a little odd, but you're able to just go between where they actually meet and move one to the left or move one to the right, depending on how you would like it set up. And similar this way. So if I wanted that one to spread out, I move it to the right. If I want to condense, I move it to the left. Now, let's say that you're wanting to add some pictures. So we hit Image, go to Add an Image, and let's just upload this one that I have, and then another one. Oh, I guess it didn't upload. So we'll get this to process, wait for it to make sure it comes up. Okay, so there's our first image. Let's upload our second image. Wait for that to process. And once it's ready to go, it'll function very much similarly. So we can grab it at any point. You can grab here or just grab here. Let's say I wanted to move it beside it. Currently, I look like I have it beside it, but pay attention to the gray line. You need to move it slightly over to the left, and it says, oh, okay, you want to take this image and actually align it to the image on the left. And there we go. Now again, you can do several different things with this. You can grab it right here in the middle, and if you want this image larger than the other, you simply grab and move it over. If you want this image larger, grab, move it over to the right. But let's say that you grab it and you're like, well, I actually kind of want both images to still be the same size, just a little bit smaller. So you actually, what's used as a spacer block, and you just click the teardrop, select it. You can pick it up, again, bring it to the side, but don't be careful, because right now, if you put it right there, it's going to go all the way up and get on the side of everything that you have currently existing. So you bring it to the side and then move in until the gray line actually represents the block that you're trying to move to. So there we go with that spacer block. Now we can add in another spacer block in case we would like it to be centered. You say, well, that's a little bit too small. We'll just take the spacer block on that side and take the spacer block on that side and just move them over. And you can get some nice arrangements. You can get it so that it's centered up. If you wanted to delete this one, they can be same size, larger on the left or on the right. It really depends on what you want to do, but the most important thing I can say to you is that when you're putting these blocks in place like this, pay attention to this gray line. It can really mess some things up. And then when let's say you accidentally did it. So let's say I took this spacer block and instead of aligning it to this image, I accidentally did that. And now look what's happened. And you can delete it, but things sometimes don't always fall back into place. Thankfully it did this time, but it's just right. To be more careful and to make sure it's accomplished correctly the first time, because nobody wants to create more work for themselves going forward, and you want to get things done in a timely manner. Your time is money, and you want to make sure that it's valuable time spent. So that's probably the best piece of information I can really relay to you when aligning blocks. Use a spacer. Use a line to separate, just so that you can get the formatting correctly, make sure that things don't merge together. So take that going forward and really create some beautiful websites. So I really hope that this Squarespace tutorial has been helpful. I know when I first started getting into it, I had a lot of questions in relation to this. I messed a few things up and got kind of frustrated because I couldn't figure it out myself. So I hope I was able to bring some value and shed some light on that. And if you'd like me to work on anything else, I'd be more than happy to. Just leave me a comment down below and let me know what I can help you with.